There is something fascinating about the fact that a man's true charm doesn't just manifest during the vibrant years of youth, but often blossoms more profoundly with time. As age gradually rests upon his shoulders, physical features may change, hair may turn silver, but none of that diminishes his appeal. In fact, it often adds depth and character that compels others to take a second glance. Many older men never think of themselves as attractive. They don't sit in front of the mirror admiring themselves, don't seek validation from others, nor do they chase after society's ideals. Yet, it is precisely this humility, calm demeanor, and maturity that allow them to shine quietly, with a strangely powerful allure. Sometimes, it's those who don't know they're attractive that end up being the most magnetic. They don't try to impress, don't aim to please. They simply are themselves. And in a world full of glitz and glamour, that authenticity becomes incredibly captivating. Especially in age-gap relationships, where younger individuals are often drawn to the experience, steadiness, and emotional depth of older men, the seemingly simple traits carry unexpected strength. Poise is not something that can be learned overnight. It is the result of a life rich in experiences. A man who knows where he's headed, what matters most, and what to let go of, naturally exudes a quiet energy that others can sense from the very first glance. He's never in a rush. He walks slowly but with certainty, and every action reflects gentle control. His presence isn't loud, but it can never be ignored. The way a mature man dresses says a great deal about him. He doesn't need to be flashy. Just a well-fitted, clean, and appropriate outfit is enough to leave a strong impression. It's a sign that he respects himself and respects others. He doesn't chase trends because he knows his own style and understands how to stand out without showing off. A simple shirt paired with clean leather shoes can create a striking image, when worn by someone who understands the value of being well put together. It's truly astonishing to realize that what often draws the young to the older is not appearance, but life stories. These stories aren't told to boast, but to share. Lessons learned from past mistakes, deep insights into life, heartfelt advice, all create a kind of beauty that can't be seen with the eyes but felt deeply within. Sometimes, just one sentence or a contemplative gaze is enough to make someone stop and listen. One of the most unique attractions of older men is that they don't need to do much to capture attention. They can simply stand still and still draw glances. It's not about outward glamour, but the harmony of wisdom, experience, and inner grace. Their muscles may not be what they once were, but they possess something far more powerful. Inner strength, a seasoned gaze, and a calm smile formed through years of living fully. These qualities make others feel safe, make them trust, and feel naturally drawn in. It's no surprise that these men are often approached by younger people. Whether at a coffee shop, in the park, or during a casual meeting, young individuals feel like they can learn from them, confide in them, and be genuinely listened to without judgment. Their presence becomes a kind of anchor, a safe harbor in a chaotic world. And what's most remarkable is that they often have no idea how special they truly are. They're just living honestly, not trying to make an impression, yet leaving the deepest impressions. An attractive older man often has a very distinct sense of humor. Gentle, insightful, never loud but effortlessly making others laugh. It's not the kind of humor that begs for attention, but rather the intelligence in word choice, in observation, and in seeing life through a witty and nuanced lens. A simple, everyday story told from their perspective suddenly becomes colorful and engaging. That is an invisible charm with great power, making those around them feel at ease, relaxed, and intrigued. In age-gap relationships, one outstanding trait of older men is their ability to truly listen. They don't interrupt, don't impose, don't dominate the conversation. They listen with full presence, with understanding eyes, and with the patience of someone who has weathered life's ups and downs. When someone feels truly heard, they open up. And when a younger person opens up to an older man, they're not just sharing, they're expressing trust. That kind of trust cannot be faked or manufactured. It is the fruit of a deep, still, and loving soul. What's most appealing about older men is that they don't try to appear younger. They don't wear ripped jeans or backwards caps to hold on to youth. They don't throw around trendy slang or mimic social media styles to get attention. They simply remain themselves, with salt and pepper hair, a deep voice and time-marked features. And somehow, that becomes irresistibly attractive. They send a powerful message. That age is not a barrier to allure. It is living proof of a life fully lived. In a society that often idolizes youthful beauty, it's refreshing to realize that true attractiveness doesn't lie in age or physique, but in how one shows up in life. An older man doesn't need to prove anything. He has lived enough to understand that real worth doesn't come from outside validation, but from inner peace. And that peace, the steadiness, kindness, and sincerity, is what makes him genuinely attractive, even if he doesn't know it. When an older man chooses to live true to himself, without chasing trends or fearing aging, that is when he becomes more attractive than ever. He understands that every wrinkle on his face is a story, and every trace of time on his hands is proof of effort. He doesn't deny aging but embraces it as an inevitable part of life, and that is what creates an incomparable kind of beauty. Strangely enough, the more we mature, the less attraction is tied to appearance. People begin to notice someone's gaze more than the shape of their eyes. They are drawn to a warm, calm voice rather than youthful exuberance. They seek out those with depth, with stories, with the ability to bring peace. And an older man, if he lives true to his values, becomes the embodiment of all those things. There's always a quiet sense of experience radiating from them. Even something as simple as a nod, a thoughtful glance, or a firm handshake carries calmness and confidence. Nothing is more attractive than someone who can make others feel protected, not through muscles or words, but through a deeply reassuring presence. In relationships, especially those with an age gap, the key to lasting connection lies not in appearance but in the feeling of safety. Younger people seek someone who understands them, who doesn't judge, who can guide when needed but never imposes. An older man, if he listens with respect and empathy, becomes the ideal companion, not merely a lover or mentor. They don't speak much, but when they do, people listen. Their voice isn't loud, but it carries weight. Because their words don't just come from knowledge, but from life experience. They don't make empty promises, they don't embellish, they don't leave others confused. They make things clear, grounded, and trustworthy. This sense of maturity creates an irresistible allure, especially for those younger people still figuring things out, craving guidance amid uncertainty. An older man doesn't need to be perfect, but if he can gently guide, not by controlling but by inspiring, he becomes truly special in the eyes of others. One common trait among attractive middle-aged and older men is a deep, intentional way of living. They enjoy life without rushing. They maintain healthy habits like reading, listening to music, walking, or sipping tea in the early morning. This slower rhythm creates a safe space where others feel comfortable, at ease, and free to be themselves. They don't feel the need to prove themselves or seek validation, because they've outgrown that stage of life. Now they choose to live for things that matter more: a peaceful afternoon, a meaningful story, or a heartfelt conversation. They value quality over quantity. And in a world full of pretense, young people are instinctively drawn to them. There are men who aren't conventionally handsome, yet they're unforgettable. Because they don't shine through their appearance, they radiate a unique kind of energy, one cultivated through growth and inner peace. When they smile, others feel warmth. When they speak, others feel respected. When they're silent, others feel heard. These qualities aren't easily found, and not everyone can offer that kind of presence. Many older men no longer care what others think. They're selective with relationships, they choose honesty and kindness, and they distance themselves from toxicity. And that very choice makes them even more attractive, because they're not needy, not attached, and they always protect their own values. They don't live to please others, they live to be at peace with themselves, something seemingly simple yet incredibly rare. When you look at a mature man, you can often sense one thing. He doesn't just live, he lives mindfully. He knows what's important, knows how to value others, and knows how to set healthy boundaries. In relationships, he doesn't cling, control, or possess. He creates space for the other person to grow and feel free in love. Love, once it has passed through youth, becomes quieter and more attentive. And the older man understands that love isn't about holding tight, but about understanding each other so well that no words are needed. That kind of companionship doesn't show off, but it runs deep. A young person lucky enough to meet such a man will understand that some people don't have to do anything to make you feel completely at ease. He also knows his own limits and isn't afraid to show them. He doesn't pretend to know everything, but is willing to learn and accept differences. This mental flexibility, combined with inner depth, creates a rare model of a man, one who is both steady enough to lean on and gentle enough to share with. No one is perfect, but an attractive older man is someone who knows his flaws and still chooses to live fully. He doesn't need to be flawless to be wonderful. He just needs to live authentically, love wisely, and be strong enough to protect what is good. And in doing so, he shines in his own unmistakable way. There are times when an older man can walk into a crowded room without doing anything in particular, yet his presence alone causes everything to pause for a moment. People can't quite explain why they're drawn to him. Maybe it's the way he holds eye contact just a bit longer when someone is speaking. Maybe it's the warm, knowing half-smile. Maybe it's his grounded posture, calm yet unassuming. All those little things, when combined, create a special kind of magnetism, something no one can imitate or fake. The charm of a mature man doesn't come from perfection, but from authenticity. He doesn't hide his flaws, nor does he pretend to be something he's not. He lives fully and completely, and that makes him a safe place for others to turn to. In today's world, where artifice and appearances are often overvalued, someone who lives truthfully becomes a rare and precious presence. There is a kind of beauty that only becomes clear when one is old enough to understand the value of peace. When a younger woman seeks the company of an older man, it's not necessarily because she needs someone to lean on, but because she feels truly seen, heard, and understood. There's no rush, no pressure to prove anything. Just a connection between two souls who recognize something real in each other. A mature man doesn't chase external perfection. Instead, he nurtures his inner life. He knows that for a relationship to last, the most important element isn't youth or beauty, but the ability to stay present, especially during hard times, without letting go. To do that, he learns how to regulate his emotions, how not to react impulsively, how to remain silent at the right time and speak at the right moment. He doesn't see gentleness as weakness, but as a true sign of strength. No one understands the value of kindness better than someone who's been through many storms. That's why he's careful in his actions, keeps his word, and rarely lets others down. He's not the type to make promises for fun, nor the kind to say one thing and do another. What he does reflects who he truly is: steady, calm, and trustworthy. There's always a sense of enough around an attractive middle-aged man. He doesn't feel lacking or in need of validation. His soul is full, so when he chooses to love someone, it's not out of need but out of genuine desire. And the one chosen in that kind of love always feels cherished, not because they're trying to act young but because of who they are at their core. His allure lies in the fact that he doesn't make you feel like you have to be prettier, smarter, or more accomplished to be loved. He makes you believe that you've always been enough, even in your most awkward moments. That kind of acceptance makes him an emotional anchor, someone not easily forgotten. Many older men have gone through deep wounds, but instead of letting the past harden them, they choose forgiveness, for others and for themselves. Their gentleness isn't innate, but hard-earned, built through countless falls and the courage to rise again. People often love them not just for what they've achieved, but for how they became more whole with each setback. They are living proof that inner beauty can be cultivated, with enough patience and compassion. Another striking quality often found in them is their ability to stand firm without being rigid. They're not the type to change with the wind, nor are they easily swayed by fleeting things. They have foresight, they consider others, and they place emotions in the right context. When they choose to love someone, they don't do so lightly. Their loyalty doesn't need grand declarations. It's shown in their everyday actions. And that, in an age of fleeting relationships, is more precious than gold. Sometimes the most attractive man is the one who never thinks of himself as attractive. He lives simply, humbly, and doesn't need to be the center of attention. But that very humility makes him stand out. He doesn't try to impress, but leaves a lasting impression. He doesn't seek to prove anything, but others can't help but remember him. Because he doesn't speak just with words. He speaks through the feeling he leaves behind. In the end, what makes an older man truly special in the eyes of others is when he still keeps a youthful spirit. Not by trying to keep up with the young, but by maintaining curiosity, passion, and a love for life. He knows how to enjoy the moment, spend time on what he loves, take care of himself, and refuses to grow old in his mind. A fresh spirit within a seasoned body. That's a rare kind of beauty that time cannot erase. Age may take away thick hair, firm skin, or swift feet, but it brings depth, resilience, and a steady heart. And if you are a man who has reached maturity, perhaps you are more attractive than you realize. Not because you resemble anyone else, but because you dare to be yourself in this world.